last year I said that we're going to see a new type of cyber war on piracy, which may actually win. Because up until now, for decades, you had governments and corporations trying to work together in order to crush internet piracy, and they weren't very effective. However, now with the industrial censorship apparatus and the way that the internet works in 2025 compared to what it used to work in 2014, we get to see that yes, it will actually be possible to crack down on piracy. And this is not actually a good thing because it will not stop at piracy. Once the mission creep begins, you're going to see a lot of websites affected. And so here's how they're going to do it, right? Like before, they had to actually find out where the pirates are located, right? Where the servers for whatever website exist, and they would have to talk with that nation state to see if they can send a team of police officers in order to arrest the people that run Pirate Bay. They don't have to do that anymore. What they can do is like they can pick up a phone call in the future and they can call Cloudflare and say, yeah, we want you to take down that website. And if they don't comply, they get sued. And this is how it starts. You have Japan ordering Cloudflare to pay damages. So you have four major publishing companies, Konda, Shueisha, Shogakukan, and Kadokawa, which filed a lawsuit claiming it provided network services that enable large-scale disruption of data to a pirate site, posting manga without permission. And they will have to pay around 500 million yen in damages. Now, here's why this wasn't possible in 2014 and it's possible now. Back in the day, Cloudflare was considered internet infrastructure and was treated as real-life infrastructure. It's kind of like the road in front of your house. Like it exists for everybody. Like any person, no matter how bad the crime, no matter what they do, they can just use the road. It's public service. But then came a new mentality, which was safetyism. And it was like, how can we permit people like the Daily Stormer, for instance? They were actually the first that got the platform. How can we allow them to operate when we saw what happened to Charlottesville? And so they got they got blocked from using the streets, from using the roads. And then it happened to Kiwi Farms and to many other websites. And then it actually became a trend, right? Like these entities like Cloudflare and many others, they're now acting like police officers. And they're not acting like police officers for the United States. They're acting like police officers for the world internet. And this has been normalized. Like people actually expect this to be the case and think it's a good thing. So if Japan can get away with this, if they basically say, yeah, you're an American company, but if you're associated with, if you allow, if you do this and that, we can sue you because like, look, you have already banned this and this and that. And so why aren't you banning pirates? And, you know, like the thing is, you can say it's a good thing if you're against piracy, which is fair, but like it will always expand. It's called mission creep. It's going to go to hate speech. It's going to go to any type of website that is not affiliated with the mainstream. And so it's going to be very difficult to create competition on the internet. The era of like every average Joe being able to start a website, to start a forum, and maybe, you know, it gets popular and it grows, is over. And we're not going to see that anymore. And I think it's sad. Now, the interesting part is that a lot of people have animosity towards Cloudflare, myself included. I don't like this company for the reasons that I mentioned before, like whether it allowed itself to be bullied by leftist activists or it genuinely was staffed with leftist activists and it decided to bully the internet. I don't know. But I really despise this company. However, I can't really be happy that they're being pressured to do this now because, again, it sets a precedent. And it's not going to be like Cloudflare. It's going to be like any type of internet infrastructure service that will now have to be hyper aware which type of websites they allow and which type of websites they ban. And this, by the way, is exactly what happened with Visa and MasterCard and why they are so censorious, is because in the past they too started having moral objections over certain websites. If I'm not mistaken, like they took down OnlyFans for a while and then they let it back up. And so when Pornhub got sued, they dragged the payment processors with them in the lawsuit. And the payment processors initially said, it's like, look, we're infrastructure. Like, we're just allowing any type of legal transaction. But the judge said, no. Like, look, back then, you made the decision. Like, initially, you thought it's a good idea to ban them. But then you changed your mind. You let them back in. So, basically, you admit that you're responsible. And this is why Visa and MasterCard are now cracking down on various taboos. And they're trying to allow only, like, vanilla fetishes. It's because it considers these things to be high risk. Even if it's fiction, even if it's books, even if it's manga, even if, right? They don't want to be dragged back into these types of lawsuits. They don't want the activists to put their name onto the paper so that they can be dragged in front of the US Senate or in front of some Australian speakers. They don't want that to happen. And this is what a lot of websites like Cloudflare are going to have to face. They're going to be, okay, well, we need to police the internet for hate speech, for misinformation, for disinformation, for piracy, for blah, 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 blah. And there's going to be like a whole list of things that will be considered brand safe. And if you happen to own a website that has any type of illegal content, and take into account that in 2025, illegal content also means hate speech. It also means speech they hate. Then that website is going to receive an email and Cloudflare doesn't even send you an email. They simply like deplatform you flat out. And the interesting thing is, right, like this is behind the scenes. Like you see the government pressure behind the scenes, you see the lawsuits behind the scenes, and people forget about them. Like when a website gets deplatformed, they will just blame the infrastructure. Like they will just blame Visa and MasterCard. They will not blame the politicians, the religious activist groups, the leftist activist groups that have encouraged the lawsuit, that have pushed for it to happen. They're walking away squeaky clean for it. It's unfortunate, but this is how the world works, right? And it all started because people in 2014 and 2016, they embraced safetyism. And they actually consented to this. And now the genie is out of the bottle. So we're going to go to an era of extremely sanitized internet. An era where freedom of expression is going to be cracked down in the cyberspace. And it doesn't matter if you're in a country that has free speech. The cyberspace is going to comply with some of the most restrictive nations on earth, because otherwise they get sued. And what's even more sad is that as people use the internet, they will be normalized with the concept of censorship, of organizations cracking down on the little guy, and they're going to import that into real life. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.